Today we're going to talk about colic. So I want certainly families to know. I know mom can sometimes be the primary that has to deal with babies that colic, but if a baby has colic, the whole house kind of has colic, meaning that it's so disruptive, it's so hard. And let's just describe colic so that we make sure we're talking about the same conversation. Colic when a baby is crying excessively and their needs have been met. In other words, they're not hungry, they're not wet, they've been caressed, they've been loved, but they're still crying excessively. By definition, colic means that your baby is crying for more than 3 hours, 3 times a week, for about 3 weeks. So we kind of call that the rule of 3. This is when we know that your baby has colic and it's not really, like they need to be fed or they need to be caressed. It's really outside of that parameter. Now, there's a couple of challenges with colic, just in our general public on how it's perceived. First off, you're a pediatrician. Again, as much as I love medical pediatricians, they don't really have a known cause for colic. So they'll commonly just say, well, your baby will grow out of it or with time, and you change your diet or other issues of that nature. We want you to know that colic is not something you grow out of. It's kind of something you grow into. Now, what that really means is that, yes, colic, the symptoms of colic may diminish. Certainly, we see it commonly diminish after about 18 months or so, but really it means that the symptom is changing to a different challenge, but your body is still regulating within this colic behavior. We're going to talk about that a little bit further. The other thing is, even if you Google it or if you talk to most pediatricians or even naturopaths, they're going to talk a lot about food sensitivities. So chiropractic profession, DC, doctor of cause, we are totally why. Everything we do is always why. Why? So why would your baby have food sensitivities? Why would your baby have sensitivities to mom's milk? Of course, there's the outlier, like if you have a large Mexican meal with a lot of spices, that could definitely transfer through the breast milk and the baby might get irritable. But colic is a lot more complicated than that. It's really not food sensitivities. Now, keep in mind, that's in a part of life that we love, chiropractors love. So we really support that world, the nutritional world. So you definitely need to be paying attention to gluten and to fats and to processed foods and obviously very spicy meals. Do not take that off the menu. But in reality, colic is much more than just food sensitivities. We, chiropractors, are going to always look at the root cause of what our babies are going through, or even ourselves for that matter. And the root cause in our world is typically we look for the neurological connection, the kind of why is our body responding a certain way. We have to understand that ultimately your nervous system controls and regulates your entire body. Earlier we talked about milestones, how your baby neurologically is functioning on day 1. Now, keep in mind that they're brand new, so really all they need to do at day 1 is be able to suckle on the breast, move their head a little bit, and then to swallow, digest, and poop. So gut and digestion, definitely ran by your nervous system, and it kind of comes on board with a brand new baby. Now, we also want to help you understand that gut and digestion is primarily regulated through what's called the vagus nerve, which is a cranial nerve, which means it doesn't go through your spine. It actually comes out of the upper neck. It regulates not only heart and breathing function, but also the top 2/3 of your gut. We have seen and we have measured a primary study done by the osteopathic profession that actually tells us that 99 out of every 100 births has what's called somatic dysfunction or a subluxation of the upper neck, negatively affecting the neurology of the brand new baby. That's going to be your vagus nerve. Now, we want you to understand that the vagus nerve will adapt. It will basically try to understand the situation. That's why we can actually kind of grow out of the symptom, but we really never resolve the primary challenge of the stress on the vagus nerve. So we want to look at control. We want to look at your neurological function of our babies to make sure that it's controlling and processing our gut and digestion to its potential. When we look at this, as a fancy word that we've used before, dysautonomia. To break it down, dys means it's not working well. An autonomia kind of means the automatic stuff in our body, like gut digestion, blood flow, hormones, and etc. So this dysautonomia means that there is stress on the nerve, malfunctioning, basically what the baby needs most at the very beginning, gut and digestion. It is not functioning properly, and then they get colic. They get pain. And this was kind of hard to communicate to moms. When a baby is fussy because it needs to be cleaned, or a baby wants to eat and they're communicating to you, these are not really pain, these are just more needs. But colic is pain. Your baby is literally going through pain, and we want to resolve that, not just for the pain alone, but also for how the baby's going to process into their next milestone. Because our body grows, our body learns, our body goes from one step to the next, especially as children, and we only get one chance to go through these milestones. They're a season, a window of time. So we want those to be as close to perfection as possible for the next milestone. Now, the vagus nerve, as I mentioned, is commonly found in birth trauma. It's also quite irritated by medication. So that could be, a really toxic diet like we talked about earlier with moms, certainly through the breast milk, or it could also be medication that's commonly used during birth, whether that's an induction or epidural or even antibiotics or vaccines and etc. All these things come into the body, the child's body, and can definitely cause stress or irritation to the vagus nerve. Now, what happens kind of in this same scenario, this kind of same process, is that there's a challenge also with ear, nose, and throat, commonly connected to dysautonomia of the vagus nerve or to colic. So what happens is the baby just can't, express air really well through their nose and their mouth. So it's going to be a lot harder to breastfeed. Because when you're breastfeeding, the mouth is occupied, so they got to breathe through their nose. So it also shows up in that challenge. We want that to be super efficient. If we get that, then what does our baby get? They not only have no pain from the colic, but they have much, much healthier digestion. That's going to produce much, much healthier sleep. If we get to the quality of sleep, like we started in the video, not only is baby happy, but the house is happy. One of our things in our logo is healthy kids, happy families. So this all affects all of us, not just the baby. There's a couple of parts of our spine that kind of control this whole process. We just talked about the upper neck controlling the vagus nerve. Then the lower neck and upper chest area, thorax, that has a lot to do with, sinuses, opening of the airways, and etc. The other branch is called the thoracolumbar junction. And it's kind of at the bottom of the rib cage, right where your lower back starts. There's a lot of gut processing in that area. So we want to make sure that all these regions are actually functioning at potential so we have the best potential for our baby. So I just want to be encouraging. I want you to know that you have to look at food, you have to look at the neurology, and then you also have to look at the lifestyle of the family. Is it a stressed family or is it a calm family? These all make a big positive effect in our outcome. We want you to know that this should be the happiest time of your life. This is when your baby is new and it's thriving and it's pooping and it's sleeping and it's cooing, and that just the whole family comes together with a lot of joy and a lot of love. In conclusion, I just want to tell you, here at Five Parks Chiropractic, we are really doing everything we can to help your baby not only not have pain, but to be happy and to thrive.